Thank you for joining. Let me know if there's any problem with the microphone. This is a new microphone. Should be good. Looks like it's good from my side. Yeah? Yeah. Alright, so today we're going to finish chapter 17 of volume 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Book 5, Canto 5, whatever you're going to call it. We are 17, of course, following up 16. 16 I published in this. It actually makes sense. The Astronomy of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's available. Amazonius.comius. As you can see kind of in the cover, that chapter gave us a layout of Bu. And then what's going on in 17 and what will continue in 18 is that each one of these little different areas of Bu is going to be explained using the device that each area has a particular divinity and a particular bhakta of that divinity. And the relationship between the bhakta and the divinity gives key information about that area of Bu, the earth. So in 17 this began. 17 had an additional section which was how did water wind up, so much water wind up on earth. And that was explained that it came via a comet. And then it got into this segment that I just described, and it begins with the first division, which is Ilavrita, which is the core division or the central division, Abhyantara. And so it said there's only one person here. Actually, there's nobody really here except this one divinity and this one bhakta. It's because it's the mantle. It's not really an inhabitable place. And then we began to hear about the relationship between the bhakta Rudra and the Devata, Shankarshan. So we're going to pick up where we left off. We had heard 2 verses about that, and we're going to pick up from the 3rd. You know, I'll just reread 17 and 18 from where it started. Sri Bhagavan said, and that's Rudra, adoration to Bhagavata, the great male, who although limitless and undisclosed, makes all qualities visible. Adoration. So the sun is the primary supporter, aka the great male. Sun Bhagavata is the primary support Mahapurusha of the world. Its light and its gravity are both limitless and intangible, ananta and avyakta, yet they cause all things to come into being. The sun's energy is intangible, but it makes everything else tangible. Sarvaguna Sankhya. For example, light has no color or shape, but light shows the color and the shape everywhere. And the next thing he said was, the particles emitted by the Master, whose deep core is the ultimate emitter and condenser of all things, are the true basis of all manifest things, and also their restrainer and destroyer. The entities amassed by the emissions have enough of the emitter's substance to replicate its nature. So that's talking about how the sun is emitting energy by sharing its properties, and that this energy from the sun is the true basis of everything else that exists, and everything else that exists inherits the power of the sun. So now let's get to the new texts. Let's make sure everything is copacetic. Okay, everything seems copacetic. I like that word. Nayasya maya gunachitta vrittipi. So there's an interesting term for the yoga fans. Chitta vritti. Well, let's see what he says about chitta vritti, because this is a very important phrase, for it's the definition, it's Patanjali's definition of what yoga is. Yogas, chitta vritti nirodha. Nayasya maya guna chitta vrittibhi nirikshato yanvapi drishtirajyate ishe yatha nojita manyurangasam kastam namanyeta jikishuratmana. So I start to adopt this format where I'm putting translations side by side. When I go back and edit everything, I'll do that for the previous two texts too. So each statement from the Bhakta, Bhava, Rudra, has two meanings. One is the simple or obvious devotional meaning, and the other is the astronomical meaning, which is the double entendre, the second meaning within each of these devotional words. So the devotional meaning of what he just said is, even when he looks at Maya, her qualities do not influence his emotions. On the other hand, when any of us look at her, we are conquered by passionate attractions or aversions. Would anyone who values self-control not respect him? So this with chittavritti, you see, if you want to know what a word means, you should look at how that word is used. Besides looking at the dictionary definition of it, you should see how people use it. That's called the Arudha-pada. You should see how it's actually put into use. And the different contexts in which it's put into use show you the different details that the word connotes. So if you want to know what a chittavritti is, if you're studying this definition of yoga, this is a good verse to consider. What it's saying is that the chittavritti of Bhagavan, that means Bhagavan has chittavritti, right? So then yoga is not nirod chittavritti. It's not trying to destroy emotional function, but it's trying to arrest emotional function. Because our emotions are functioning on a certain level which is not advantageous to us. So yoga's aim is to arrest the function of emotions and bias and opinion so that it can be reset and directed elsewhere. So how it's used here in this particular text, it says, Nayasya Maya Guna Chittavritti. Maya's guna don't make chittavritti. Vritti means a function, and chitta means the heart. Nirikshito hi anvapi drishtirajate, even when he looks at her. So there's certain kinds of renunciation or detachment. One is virag, but one is nirakta. Virag means you can keep yourself away from something. Like maybe you're addicted to alcohol, but you've gone to Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever, and you developed virag. You can keep yourself away from alcohol. You have that discipline, you have that strength. But somebody else might not need that strength, virag, because they are nirakti. They don't have attachment to it in the first place. You're not interested in the first place. So if you put a glass of gin in front of a recovering alcoholic's nose, it's much different than putting a glass of gin in front of somebody's nose that doesn't like gin. Or not that they don't like gin, but they're not interested in gin. So in one person it creates chittavritti. In the recovering alcoholic it creates chittavritti, but in the person who has no particular feelings about gin, it creates no chittavritti. So what Bhava is saying about Bhagavan here is the qualities of this manifested world don't create emotional repercussions in his heart, even when he interacts with them. And then he says, on the other hand, what kind of chittavritti is he talking about? On the other hand, all of us do get chittavrittis. And he gives the primary example of what a chittavritti is, Manu or Ramhasa. It's basically dvesh or rag. Dvesh is Manu and Ramhasa is raga. Which means you either feel that you love it and you want more of it, or you hate it and you want none of it. Depending upon how passionate you feel about it, you might use different kinds of terminology to describe that, but that's the basic polarity of how the vritti of the chitta works, how the heart's function, emotional function works. So he says, when we look at things in the world, we either feel like, oh, I don't want that, or ooh, I want that. But when he looks at things in the world, it doesn't affect him at all. Kastam namanyeta jigishuratmana. Is there anybody, kastam, is there anyone who thinks that atmajigishu, atmajit, self-control is a virtue? If there's anybody who thinks that self-control is a virtue, wouldn't they respect this person who has the ultimate self-control? That's the devotional meaning of what he said. Now, in the context of this section of Bhagavatam, which is astronomical, and where he's addressing Bhagavan as Bhagavata, which was previously used as the name for the sun, then the double entendre, the second meaning of everything that he said, becomes pretty obvious. What he's saying is, although the sun is in a gravitational relationship with Earth. Remember, the previous thing that he said was that the sun is all the gravity. And because of the sun's gravity, everything else amasses, and it attains some gravity as well. But it is the thing that is holding other things in place. The other things aren't holding the sun in place. The sun is holding the planets in place. But one might complain and say, no, the Earth has some gravity too. The Earth is holding the sun in place too a little bit. So what he's saying here is, it's not much. It's not noticeable. It's not tangible. The sun is in a gravitational relationship with the Earth, but it is the Earth that is influenced by the sun's gravity and not vice versa. So this is a very simple astrological point, but it's a very important philosophical point. This relationship between the gravity of the sun and the gravity of the Earth illustrates the relationship between Bhagavan and Maya. And Advaitis of the Shankaracharya school say that Maya changes Brahman, or causes Brahman to come under the illusion that it has been changed. So this school is saying that there's just this one reality called Brahman, but it thinks that it's many different things because it's under illusion. But real Vedanta, full Vedanta, thinks that would be like saying that the Earth is pulling the sun in its orbit. That the sun is orbiting the Earth due to the gravity of the Earth, which is foolish, which is a geocentric foolish theory, which is interestingly not the theory of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam here is saying that the sun is the gravitational center. To think otherwise would be foolish. Any questions? Let me see. Okay, looks like there's no questions. So let's look at text 20. Asadrishoya pratibhati mayaya kshibeva madvasavatam bralochana nanagavadhordhana ishreya yad padayos sparshana darshitendriya. The devotional meaning is, to people with bad eyes, he appears like a red-eyed drunk. To people with bad eyes, it looks like his eyes are bad. What he said previously was, when he looks at Maya, he doesn't have chitta vritti. He doesn't have an emotional response. But now he's saying to people who have bad vision, it looks like his eyes are also bad. So to people who have emotional response to Maya, it seems that Bhagavan has an emotional response to Maya. They claim partiality on the part of God. God favors us, and not them. God is our God and not their God. God wants this and not that. So to people with bad eyes, he appears like a red-eyed drunk. I like this red-eyed drunk. So asadrishas, people with bad vision or bad eyes, pratipati he looks like kshibeva madhvasava tambralochana. It looks like his eyes are red from drinking mead. Like he's a drunk, kshiba. This is why the Naga women bashfully hesitated to welcome him when the touch of his feet exposed the passion in their senses. So the Naga Vadhu, the Naga ladies, refers to the wives of Kalia, who is one of the primary Nagas who was driven out from his abode out of fear of Garuda, and found a place to hide in Mathura, Vrindavan, in Jamuna. And this coincided with the avatar of Krishna. So he interacted with Krishna, and Krishna was kicking his heads, by dancing on his heads. And in some way his feet also touched the women, and probably the water. By seeing his feet, the women are described as darshitena. Darshan, means to show. So when you're exposed, you're darshitena. So when they saw Krishna, they felt so much lust, because he's so beautiful and sexy and handsome and strong and powerful and everything. So they felt like, wow, I want him. Then, because of that feeling and feeling exposed, they felt shy. Yeah. And then, because of that shyness, they hesitated to welcome him or embrace him. So he just says this. He says this is an illustration of, if you have red eyes, other people have red eyes. If you're drunk, other people look drunk. If you're a thief, other people seem dangerous all the time. So, because they had lust, they're going to see Krishna as also having lust, and a lusty man is dangerous. So they hesitated to approach him. That's the illustration that he's giving. Now, what is the astronomical meaning? The Earth does have gravitational force, but it does not tangibly influence the sun. Instead, the Earth's mass generates momentum, which repels it from the sun. This is why the Earth does not rush directly into the sun. Naga also means mountain. And mountain also means Meru. So the secondary meaning here in the text is the Earth, it does have some mass, right? The sun has invested the Earth with some mass by coagulating it. But the primary function of the mass is actually not to pull it towards the sun, even though mass has gravity. The primary effect, the more tangible effect of the Earth's mass, is to give it momentum, which is another important physical principle of physics, momentum. And the momentum is what repels the Earth from the sun. Just like the Naga women. The didn't approach, they didn't rush into the sun. Arana irishte. They didn't do that. They did not run into the sun. They did not run to Krishna. The same way the earth, think about it. The sun has gravity, a lot of gravity, and the earth has gravity. So why don't they fall together? It's because what the Earth's mass is actually doing more than producing gravity. Because the gravity that the Earth's mass produces is basically nothing in comparison to what the sun produces. That's going to be described in a second or two. But what it does significantly produces is momentum relative to itself. Mass generates momentum. So the momentum of the Earth's movement is sideways to the sun, and then the effect of the sun's gravity on the Earth is to keep it in a circle. And so the combination of these two things, the Earth's shyness from the sun and the sun's attraction to the Earth, is what keeps the Earth pulled into a circle, a circular orbit around it. Okay, I think we have some questions here. Let's see. A shy Naga sounds almost like an oxymoron. Naga aren't known for being shy, are they? Was their reaction unusual? These Nagini are Kaliya Nagini, so they're not going to be darshita to somebody else. That's unattractive. That's not appealing or sexual. Nor is it's not attractive to somebody else, nor is it attractive to themselves. So although Nagas are not shy, they're not uncivilized. So it is strange that these... So it's not an oxymoron, it's kind of normal. Ruchira asks, I thought the Naga women referred to here would be the ones attracted to Ananta Shesha Naga. Well, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti, it's referring to Kaliya. 525.5 is a completely different chapter, so I have no foresight to that. It's probably a completely different story. When I get there, I'll figure it out. Alrighty. So what was the astronomical content so far? Although the sun is in a gravitational relationship with the Earth, it's the Earth that is influenced by the sun's gravity and not vice versa. Second of all, the Earth does have some gravitational force, but it does not tangibly influence the sun. Instead, the Earth's mass generates momentum, which repels it from the sun, and this is why the Earth does not rush directly into the sun. Now, the 21st text. Yam ahurasya sthiti janma sangyayam Tribhir vihinam yamanantam rishaya Naveda siddhartamiva kvachit stitam Bhumandalam murda sahasradamasu. The sages say that he is entirely uninvolved in the triad of generating, preserving, and annihilating this place. He doesn't even know exactly where Bhumandala is stationed upon his thousands of hoods, for it is like a mustard seed in comparison to his infinitude. This is an interesting proposition, or an interesting point is being raised. The Bhumandala system is the geocentric system. And the sun apparently plays a role in the geocentric system, but factually, the geocentric system is itself heliocentric. It's itself based on the sun. So the sun, the astronomical meaning is the sun is the remote cause. Oh, let me get the devotional meaning verse. Like the sages say, is entirely uninvolved in the triad of generating, preserving, and annihilating this place. So in other words, this place, this cosmos that we exist in, it's generated, maintained, and then dissolved. Not just on a big scale, but on a constant scale. Things like, these glasses were made, now they're being held in place by atomic bonds and so forth, and at some point some fire will burn it, and etc., and it will be dissolved. Bhagavan is not involved in any of that. There's no direct involvement in any of it. That's why it produces no chitta-vritti. God is not involved in all this stuff. That's what the sages say. He doesn't even exactly know what's going on here. It's not that important. So the astronomical meaning is the sun is the remote cause of the earth's existence. So what is Bhagavan's relation then? I thought it was Janmadhyasya Yata. Janmadhyasya Yiton Vayat Itaritas. The ultimate cause of the chain of causes and effects that produce everything and maintain everything and cause everything is Brahman, Bhagavan, Paramatma. But not the direct cause, not the immediate cause. The immediate causes of these things are the causal chains of action and reaction, cause and effect. Bhagavan or Brahman is just the basis that allows that to exist. It makes it possible for that to exist. Similarly, the sun is the remote cause of the earth and everything that happens on earth. That it's the remote cause, but it is in no way the immediate cause. Like the sun is not coming down onto a farm and growing a vegetable. The sun is not pulling a plow. The sun is not pushing a mountain up. The sun is not moving the clouds. Not directly. But it is the ultimate cause of all the chains of cause and effect that cause the wind to blow, that cause the clouds to move, that cause the water to evaporate, that cause the rain to fall, that cause the mountains to push up and the valleys to rip out, and the vegetables to grow, and everything, and the life forms to evolve, and the life forms to wake up and go to sleep. The sun is the remote cause of all that, but not directly involved in any of it. The sun is the remote. So I mean, you can take this whole section here, really, in one sense, it's an astronomy lesson. But in another sense, it's really an even better lesson on Bhagavan and philosophy and spirituality, because the sun and the earth is a very easy thing to grasp because we can see it. We can measure it, we can know it, we can feel it. So what this section is really affording, and what the whole purpose of giving the astronomy in the first place is affording us, is a way to tangibly understand and relate to the key concepts of Bhagavan, key spiritual concepts, by the fact that they are mirrored exactly in the relationship between the sun to the earth. So the sun is the remote cause of the earth's existence and also of everything that happens in the earth's ecospheres and biospheres, but it's not... Did I ever put this on screen? I didn't. Is it better without it on screen? Nobody complained. Maybe it's less distracting in a sense. The sun is the remote cause of the Earth's existence and also of everything that happens in Earth's echo and biospheres, but it is not directly involved or affected by any of it. The sun feels no tangible effect from Earth or anything on it, for the Earth is like a mustard seed in comparison to it. So compare a mustard seed to the size of the Earth, and it's kind of the similarity in the effect of the Earth's gravity compared to the effect of the Sun's gravity. The gravitational act of holding the Earth in orbit is effortless and requires no attention or exertion by the Sun. The Sun doesn't have to calculate where to spend its energy. It just naturally happens by the Sun's power. Similarly, Bhagavan doesn't have to know about what's happening in the world. It just naturally happens by his extended energy. Let's see if there's a question or two. I think there might be. Thank you, Michael. Okay, so it's an interesting thing here. Also, maybe I haven't explored it enough in the writing, but the concept of Murta Sahasradhamsu. So, Sankarshan is supposed to be holding Bhumandala on his head. So, if Sankarshan is the sun, which was established in text 17, well, I think it was 17, it was established in a previous text. If Sankarshan is the sun and Bu is the earth, which was established previously, then what it means is that the sun is holding the earth up. But what does up mean in real three-dimensional space? It means the sun's force is what's keeping the earth in a relatively stationary position. In other words, it has a continuous distance from the sun. But the fact that it doesn't know where it is, it's effortless. It's interesting that the size of the earth is supposed to be like a mustard seed on his head. So he doesn't even know if he feels it exactly in the right spot. Which is really interesting because Sesha is not, like when you go to the doctor and they measure your height and they say you're, I think I'm 170 centimeters or something. So they say, when Sesha goes to the doctor and gets measured, what do they say? You're one atomic unit, what is the AU? Solar unit? Like you're 93 million miles tall. They don't say that. Sesha's not 93 million miles tall. He's relatively normal size. It's like Mahavishnu's relatively normal size. So it's an interesting dynamic how physicality and dimension is also relative to the perceiver. And it's not actually fixed. We think of size as something which is fixed. And this is probably a key thing to understand how Bhumandala itself has different dimensions, different sizes, based on the observer of it. You remember that? That was in text 11, I think, of this chapter. Sesha's size compared to Vishnu is pretty much similar. And Sesha's size, if he wants to relate to you, he makes his size relatable to you. But in the way that Sesha relates with Bu becomes very small and distant to it, which you can kind of, I don't know if, this picture is faulty because it's real close to the Earth. But if you got up in a spaceship and went up and looked down, you'd, really far up, like 93 million miles, you would see the sun pretty big, and you would have to struggle to find the Earth. So it's like that. That's the. Yeah, if you come down to the Earth, it's gigantic. So that's what's going on here with these dimensions and the variability of the dimensions. Something like that. Okay, now we have There's 3 more texts. This one is Yasyadya Asid Guna Vigraho Mahan. This actually is quite interesting. Yadyasya Asid Guna Vigraho Mahan. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Maybe this microphone is worse for burps because it's like right next to my neck. So if so, I apologize. It's a gross sound. Nobody wants to hear. Yasyadya Asid Guna Vigraho Mahan Vijnana Dishno Bhagavan Ajakila Yad Sambhavoham Trivarta Svatejasa Vaikarikam Tamasam Aindriyam Srije Ete Vayam Yasya Vashe Mahatmana Stitha Shakunta Iva Sutrayantrita Mahanaham Vaikrita Tamasendriya Srijam Sarve Yadanugrahad Idam. So now Bhava, Rudra, Shiva says, from him, the first substance, which is called Mahat, emerges as potentiality for tangibility of the qualities of his Maya. We'll have to go over this. If you followed along, if you were with us during the 3rd canto streams, which you can also be with us in, you can take the time machine of recordings. I have a playlist in the description below for the 3rd canto. Then you already are a bit familiar with this whole paradigm. So he says, from him the first substance, Mahat, emerges as the potentiality for tangibility of the qualities of his Maya. We'll take a minute with that sentence in a second. From this comes a being blessed with full power of comprehension, the unborn Bhagavan Brahma, and, seemingly, I manifest from him. Using my inherent power, I evolved the 3 functionalities manifest from Mahat to produce the tangible sensorial world. We do all this because we are immersed in the power of his mighty being like birds in the sky. Utilizing a vast mechanism of interconnected cause and effect, I evolved this entire tangible sensorial world as a result of his embrace. Just a second. This thing is way too big. Okay. So now Baba is giving a cosmology, a chronological, an unfolding of how the cosmos comes into being from the sun, really. Interesting. So what he said is from him, from Bhagavan, the first substance comes into being. So the first substance which is produced is a direct cause. Him. I need an extension cord for this. It's still plugged in. The first substance is produced is the direct cause of him. That is not directly even, but direct cause of his extension. All right. So what is Mahat? Mahat, let's get some. In the beginning, Adya, that's the first thing. Guna Vigraha, Mahat. Mahat is Guna Vigraha. Vigraha means the tangibility, the tangibleness, the tangible form of Guna. So the tangibility of Guna, of Maya. So in other words, Maya or Prakriti is avyakta, which means undisclosed, not drishtena. Maya is the opposite. It's Shriya. It's undisclosed, avyakta. But it has properties, but those properties are not disclosed. In the presence of Bhagavan, she discloses her properties. She discloses her qualities. And that disclosure of her properties is Mahat. And Mahat means like the great everything. The great summary of everything is just the exposure of the 3 properties, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, that are inherent in Prakriti or Maya. From this Mahat comes a being blessed with full power of comprehension. So from the Mahat comes Vijnana Dishnya, which is really an interesting word for astronomy. But we'll get to that. First, let's get down to the primary, the direct meaning. Vijnana means has the power of comprehension. And who is that? It's Bhagavan Aja. Aja means unborn, and it's in the name for Brahma. But he's addressed with the title Bhagavan Brahma. And then from Brahma, it seems like Kila. Yat samava aham. I come into being from Brahma, it seems like. Why does he say it seems like? Because actually he's Shambhu. Bhava or Rudra or Shiva is Shambhu, and Shambhu is the actual agent who discloses the properties of Prakriti. Mahavishnu's or Narayana's agent to impel Maya to expose or display her inherent properties is Shambhu. It's this form of Bhagavan called Shambhu. And Shambhu is Shiva. And Shiva's avatar as Rudra is through Brahma. So he says, it seems like Akila, it seems like I'm born from Brahma. And then he says, what I do, it's an interesting perspective. He says, I do the work, really. Really, don't forget he's talking about Ilavrita Varsha. And now the core of the earth, the mantle of the earth is really doing the work behind the scenes of producing the crust and recycling the components of the crust and creating organic viability on the crust of the earth. So anyway, he says that he uses his inherent power, which is Swatejasa, to do Vaikaraka, which means evolution, or transformation. Of what? Of the Mahat, of the exposed properties of Maya, to evolve those exposed properties into other things, to eventually into what things? Tamasam, Aindriyam. So tamasa is related with the tamasic property, and that's why bhava is related with tamaguna. Tamasa means dark, but it means opaque or solid. So things which are solid are tamasa. Things which are like fire are rajasa. And things which are clear like air are sattvika. In terms of physicality. So when he says aindriya means sensorial, things which are grasped by the indriya are aindriya. So tamasa aindriya means the tangible sensorial world. Is Vaikarika, is an evolution from the Mahat, or the disclosed properties of Prakriti, which is the basic material substance. And he says that it's he who makes those transformations. Then in the second statement he says, we do all this because we are immersed in the power of his mighty being. How is he capable? Who is he in the first place? Who is even Shambhu? Shambhu is the extension of the power of Narayan. So he's immersed, or Vesh, Yasya Vashe. Vashe, we're in the power of Mahatmana, the Great One. Like a bird, Shakuntaiva, like birds in the sky. Like birds in the sky are basking in the power of the sun. Similarly, Shambhu and Bhava are basking in the power of Narayan, and that's how they have the power to do things. And how is it done? This part is very important. Sutra means threads. So it means like a chain, a thread, things being attached to things. Sutra, yantra, a mechanism of interconnections. Sutra yantra mahan, a great interconnected machine or a great interconnected mechanism. Aham vaikrita tamasandriya srijama. How do I manifest this tangible sensorial world? Through a big mechanism of interconnected causes and effects. That's how Sarvamidam comes out. Yat Anugrahat, by his embrace or by his mercy. So that's the primary meaning. Now the secondary meaning, the astronomical meaning, is quite interesting. This word Dishnya means star in astronomy. The sun is a star, but it's a Vigyan Dishnya. It's a star, the star that we know directly, Vigyan. So the sun is a Mahan. It's the Mahan Dishnya. It's the big star. Because it's Vigyan, it's directly close to us, it's near us, it's perceivable by us. That's pretty amazing astronomy to find in the Purana. The sun is a star whose immensity we can perceive, Mahan Vigyan, Vigyata, because it is relatively close to us. It is the first thing adhyasit in our cosmic system. It produces the earth and every aspect of its echo and biospheres via vast mechanisms of interconnected cause and effect. Sutra Yantrita Mahan. First, it manifests guna vigraha. It manifests the inherent potential, mahat, from the cosmos, prakriti, maya. How? By the amalgamation of mass via gravity. What does the sun do? And how would you learn about this in elementary school? Any public school in practically any part of the world? You would learn about it as this star has a gravitational effect on the space around it. So it pulls these particles that are so evenly dispersed that they're avyakta, they're imperceptible. In space, it's apparently a vacuum. But it's not really a vacuum, because if it was a vacuum, there would be nothing in it. But it's practically a vacuum. But the stars, they have immense gravity, and they pull out of this vacuum tangible things. So this is what's described as the guna vigrahat from the prakriti itself, the avyakta. So first it manifests the inherent potential from the cosmos by amalgamation of vast mass via gravity. Thus it creates the potential for knowable sensorial entities, Vigyata Dishnya. It's another meaning of Vigyata Dishnya, something which is a point that can be known. So the gravity, what its effect on space, it's the same as the sutra for Shatabhishak, Nakshatra. The effect of gravity on space is that it pulls out of space, which is apparently empty, it pulls tangible things out of it. And then those tangible things, a tangible thing is something you can perceive and you can understand it, Brahma. And you can enjoy these things, Bhagavan. Produces objects which would delight the senses. The most important of these is the proto-earth, which amalgamates further into the core earth, Ilavrita, which is like a bird floating in the sun's sky. Shakuntaiva, The power of gravity invested in the core earth by the sun, yet anugrahat, further drives the evolutionary chains of causes and effects to eventually manifest everything that we see in the world around us. Sarvamidam tamasendriya srijama. Not bad. This is a very cool book, to say the least. Someone asks, is the word Indriya related at all to the word Indra? Yes. So Indriya is an instrument. So it's an ability to extend power, is an Indriya. And Indra is someone who expresses power, a king, a ruler. Bardo asks a typically incomprehensible question. Is this chapter a description of Vyavahara, expression of Brahman? I don't know. I don't know what all that Advaita. What's a Vyavahara? Let me see. Like a regular, conventional blah blah? I don't know exactly what you mean in your philosophical context. Vyavahara. Generally it means the way people earn a living, right? Yeah, they're conventional, their official dealings, or their dealings, daily life. Yeah. So what, like you're saying Brahman has Vyavahara? Yeah, okay. Phenomenal versus noumenal. Yeah, okay. Phenomenal. Yes. Tis. Alright, now we're going to look at the 24th text. Yan nirmitam karhyapi karma parvanam. Yan nirmitam karhyapi karma parvanim. Mayam janoyam gunasarga mohita. Naveda nistarana yoga manjasa. Tamasi namaste vilayoda. It's kind of cool to see namaste. Tamasi namaste vilayoda. What? Vilayoda. Vilayodayatmane. Tamasi. Hang on. Naveda nistarana yogam anjasa. Tasmai namaste vilayodayatmane. The meaning is, people are inclined to act. People who are inclined. People who are, let's put that in, it makes it easier. People who are inclined to act only in reference to Maya are charmed, mohit, by what her qualities produce, and cannot easily understand the link to the causal chains that are beyond them. So in the beginning of this session we talked about chittavrita. So this is the problem with chittavrita. When you have chittavrita, or emotional response to something in the world, then your perception of reality becomes opaque at that level. Meaning that you can't see past that thing. Because just chitta vritti will cause chitta to move, to change. So it's similar to water. When water is still, then you see to the bottom of it. But when water is shaken, then everything in it mixes up and you can't see past the top. So the mind or the heart is similar to that. When it's shaken, then everything comes up in it, and you see what's in it, but you don't see through it. So when we are interested in the results of our karmas, then we're only interested in the effects. So that is where our perception becomes opaque at that level, in the effect. So we can't see to the cause, what to speak of the effect, which was the cause of that cause. what to speak of the whole chain. So the value of Chittavritti Nirodha, which is what yoga aims to do, the value of it is by ceasing the emotional interaction with effects. The mind stills, and like the water that is still, it therefore becomes transparent. If the mind is transparent, then you do not perceive anything in it, you perceive through it. And when you perceive through it, you perceive the perceiver itself, which means you perceive the self directly, which is the goal of yoga. So Rudra, who's the original teacher of yoga, he's explaining this again here. People who are inclined to act only in reference to Maya or in reference to karma are charmed by what her qualities produce. I don't know, you did. Ya nirmitam kar yapi karma parvanam. I should probably put this into the translation a little more obviously, but karma. The people that are interested in the effects of Maya are charmed by those effects. So they cannot easily understand the link to the causal chains that are beyond them. My namaste to him in whom everything arises and falls. So an ordinary person won't see that although nothing is directly connected to Bhagavan, everything is ultimately connected to Bhagavan, and therefore everything is produced within, maintained within, and falls and dissolved within Bhagavan. The astronomical meaning of the statement is people living on the conventional earth, the karma bhumi, which is the part of Varsha only, which we talked about that in text 11. It's the small earth, it's the karmic version of the earth. People living on that earth do not easily understand this causal chain behind everything happening in the earth's echo and biosystems. I mean, who perceives that? Nobody perceives that. Nobody perceives the gravity of the sun and the heat of the sun having affected the molecules in the ionosphere, which cause the electricity, static ions, whatever, however it's got to be explained. You just perceive wind. In the same way, we just go about our life perceiving happiness, distress, blue things, red things, soft things, hard things, without perceiving Bhagavan. But it is possible. There is a way, actually, by yoga, Chittavritti Nirodha, that the perception of a blue thing, a red thing, a soft thing, a hard thing, a hot thing, a cold thing, would generate perception, would allow or facilitate perception of Bhagavan. However, those who do must respect the sun, which is the true determinant of everything that comes into and goes out of existence. So that's all. That's the end of chapter 17. Any last questions or things you want to discuss? Chapter 18 is going to have, I don't know how long it is. Let's take a look at how long chapter 18 is. It's going to have this thing that went on here between Bhava and Shankarshan, describing the relationship of Ilavrita to Bhagavata, describing the relationship of the Earth's core to the sun, is going to be, this template is going to be replicated next, I think, for Bhadrashva, for the Eastern Hemisphere, for the Western Hemisphere, and then for I think it probably goes from north down. And I know that's all in chapter 18. We just finished 17. I just want to take a quick look and see how long that chapter is, like how many texts are in it, because it seems like a lot. We just finished one, and now there's going to be 8 more packed into one chapter. But it's short. Why is this? Why is it so short? No, that is 17, isn't it? Somehow I clicked on the wrong thing. I clicked on 17. Let's see, 18. Ooh, 40 texts. Very cool. By manipulating a fire-generating stick. Let me see. Is it really over with chapter 18, or does it continue into 19? No, it continues into 19. Sorry. It's not over in 18. It continues into 19. And I believe it stops there. So 20 starts with this bigger universe. So what the way that the thing went was, chapter 16 established the basic definition of Bhumandala. And then and then that will go on until chapter 19, 17, 18, and 19. 16 established it, 17, 18, 19 elaborate on it, and then it's over, and then the 20 starts to talk about the bigger circles outside of the Earth. We'll talk about bigger cosmology. Okay, let me see if there's questions. Thank you, Ruchira. She said it's a very cool book. I think she means... I bet you she means Bhagavatam. But I thought maybe she meant this one. Because I'm very self-oriented. Well, I always cover the title, don't I? That is our published work on chapter 16. Pardo says it was awesome, thank you. Jonathan says it was great, thank you. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. See you later. Shut it down. How do you do that? No matter how many times